Hi guys, today I'm doing a video to help you guys understand fatwood a little better. A lot of people, when they think about fatwood, they think that they have to venture out into the woods to find it, and that's not true. It can be right in your own yard. As long as you've got evergreens, you can find fatwood. When this porch was rebuilt after it got destroyed by the snow and this aluminum canopy collapsed, all this had to get rebuilt. And when they rebuilt it, they had to dig new posts with the backhoe, and they accidentally caught the gas line that runs from my gas post right there and runs underneath the porch and goes over to the pole barn that's over there where the plow truck is kept, and they severed it. So before winter comes, they had to put in a new line, and they went around my new landscaping and dug a trench and tied into the gas and ran it over to the barn, so there's heat over there this winter when I use the plow truck. But here, there used to be another white spruce like that one was right here, and we lost that tree during a severe storm. That right there, this big root, is fatwood. So I'm going to take that around the house here, because that's where they tied into the rest of the pipe that runs over there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this around the other side where the garden hose is, because I want to hose all this dirt off before I saw into it so it doesn't dull my blade. Got a garden hose right here, and I'm going to hose that off, because it doesn't matter if you get fatwood wet. When fatwood is wet, it will still ignite and burn, and that's why it's the ultimate survival fire tinder to get going. And fatwood will be heavier than wood that doesn't have fatwood in it. If it's not impregnated with fatwood, it won't be heavy, because it has such a concentrated resin in it. That's what gives it its weight. So I will hose that off. But if you look here on the side of my yard, I got more big white spruce, a big stand of them right here, and one fell there, so underneath that ground is more roots. But over here in my backyard, over in this stand of trees, is shortleaf pine. So I'm going to show you guys that just with having trees in your yard, evergreens, that you can find fatwood. Shortleaf pine look a lot like white pine, only their leaves are very, or should say needles. I don't know why they call them leaf, because they're actually needles, but the needles are much shorter than white pine. I'm going to find a branch to cut off if I can get back in here. Even this one right here, that's getting punky. See how that's all rotted right there? That part won't rot, because fatwood is always within the first 10 inches of the branch. So if you follow the limb out of a pine tree, if you start sawing over here, you're not going to find anywhere near the amount of fatwood as you would right here at the trunk. So what some people will do, well, most people look for it already on the ground. You don't have to do that. You can take it off a living tree, because it will produce more and heal itself. But most people will just start cutting right here and take the limb off. But being that you got to make two cuts, you might as well make your first cut out here, so that way when you make your second cut, the tree is holding it for you. Otherwise, if you saw it at the base, now you got to hold on to the limb and saw with your other hand. So you can already start to see the fatwood. See that right there? That's liquid gold for getting a fire started. But now we're going to cut back into here where it'll be even better, and you'll see that this end of the cut will be much more rich than that end of the cut. I'm just showing you some ways that you can get fatwood right out of your own backyard, front yard, side yard, if you've got evergreens. Now, I'll get this piece. There's the first cut I made. There's the second cut I made. And that will bleed and leach, and that is pure fatwood, and that will heal itself. That ain't going to kill the tree. But that is pure fatwood right there, you guys. And I'll show you how you process this, because that is liquid gold right there. Liquid gold. I call it liquid gold because if you heat it up, it starts to run like syrup. so it does liquefy. So I just showed you 2 ways that you can get fatwood right out of your own yard. Is you can saw it off a dead limb from a standing tree, or if a tree's been blown over by a storm like the one over by my porch did, you can harvest it before the tree gets cut up and hauled away. Or if you dig up the roots, you can harvest it right out of the roots. And that tree fell a couple years ago. Okay guys, I rinsed the root off, and right there you can see a vein of fatwood going right up through the center of it. What I did is I took my knife and a rubber mallet and I batoned right straight down through it, and there's fatwood. Now, is there a heck of a lot of fatwood in this particular root? No, but there is fatwood in it. So if I batoned this down this side and then came across the back side, I could separate just that fatwood right there. And there's fire starter right in the root of a tree that fell more than 2 years ago. However, my favorite way to get it is where it's the most richest, is right out of a limb that is closest to a standing tree. That is my favorite type of fatwood. And you can see my first cut, it started to lose the fatwood throughout the length of the limb, but near the base of the tree is where it's really rich. So let me go ahead and baton this piece. I will baton it right in half, and we will see what the inside veins look like of this one. Now you can see the similarities from the root. This is the root, and these 2 outside pieces are that chunk of limb that I cut off and split in 2. And you can see the rich veins of fatwood running right down that. And what I did is I took my knife and I shaved the bark off of the shortleaf pine so that you can see where it was closest to the tree. Let me set this down here. Where it was closest to the tree versus the limb going out away from the tree, you can see how there's more white wood here than there is this reddish goldish color. And you can see the crystallization all through here. That is all pure fatwood. Same thing on this piece. So by processing these down into fatwood sticks, this is excellent fire starter, and this is how you can get pure fatwood right out of your own yard. So these 2 pieces are fantastic. Much better than the root, but sometimes depending on which root you grab and cut, there will be fatwood. It just sometimes there'll be more, sometimes there'll be less, but what I find is that the lower limbs on a pine is where you score the best, as well as knots and burls. Knots and burls are almost 100% pure fatwood. I'll show you guys that in another video. I'm also going to be talking about ferro rods and why I believe they are the ultimate fire starting survival tool over all other methods, and I'm going to show you guys the difference and the reason why. Goes to show you, right out in your own yard, you can harvest fatwood and make fatwood sticks, because this stuff is the best for getting a fire going, because even when it's wet, it will ignite and it will burn, even if it's raining out and if the fatwood is completely soaked. I wanted to show you guys that I processed it down even further. And look at that pure gold. That is beautiful, beautiful fatwood. So that goes to show, when you baton it down, scrape the bark off, even the bark will be impregnated with fatwood. See it there? So you want to save this, because you can make shavings out of this. This is good, very good fatwood. Same thing with this piece. Look at that. That's what you want, is the veins of gold. So I will process this down. Look at those beautiful ribbons. And this will make awesome fire starter for a survival kit. Right out of my own backyard. Can't beat it. Thanks for watching, you guys, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.